in the Eiffel Tower today? Because they're neighbors with England, and we
That's
love
the closest
Queen.
thing you had?
No, I had my Anne Boleyn shirt, but I wore it this weekend.
Oh. Nobody would have known that.
It's as quiet as a church mouse in this place.
I don't suppose anybody cooked dinner at your house.
I have food from the meal prep guy at my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tony
You on
baked himself
a diet or you're getting
I had to sell spaghetti. Yeah, you can get whatever diet you're on.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, not just healthy.
Ooh, it's getting close.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
30 seconds. Let's get ready to govern.
Yep.
The time is now 6 o'clock, so I'll call to order this meeting of the City of White House Council for today, Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022. Ms. Hargis, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Give me one moment. I'm in the wrong section here. So sorry about that.
I may not be able to hear her.
This is true.
He gets me every time.
We're gonna need
I was prepared.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. James Wansley.
Here.
Zach Briscoe.
Here.
Georgia Harris.
Here.
John Chambers.
Here.
Michael Lowe.
Here.
And Heath Rosenstein. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, will you please stand if you're able and join Councilman Briscoe as he leads us in a word of prayer.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your many blessings, and please guide us tonight as we conduct our city's business. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Changed the cadence on you a little bit, sorry about that.
A little fast.
Yeah, some people do the Texas part fast and
I
some people.
know. I wasn't expecting it.
It's a new era. All right, so that takes us to item D, presentations. Have a polar bear in a snowstorm. And that takes us to item E, community interest. We have several things coming up. Mrs. Black, please.
And Mayor and Council, just a reminder that National Night Out will be held here in City Park on Tuesday, October 4th, starting at 6 p.m. If you remember, we had a great turnout last year and a lot of fun things going on for kids and families alike, so encourage everybody to come out for that. The Chamber of Commerce will be holding their reverse raffle on October 15th, so tickets are available now if you're interested in going. And Christmas in the Park will be Saturday, December 3rd. And then one other item of note is that Chief Robeson did graduate from the FBI's National Academy today and will be back in the office again next week. So we're proud of him for completing that 10
What
weeks
a big
course.
deal.
It is.
Is that?
And thank you to all of the city staff and his fellow officers that allowed him that time away. That was a lot of learning and a lot of time to do so. So it'll be good to have National Night Out led by a fully credentialed FBI agent. I'm not sure what his title is after that, but he was certified. Anything else to add in the matter of community interest?
I believe the Christmas in the park, and actually the parade will be a little earlier this year, right?
The parade will be moved up to 3:30 in the afternoon this year.
I think that is a super deal. Yep.
Yes. All right. So that takes us over to public forum. I don't see anybody signed up. Is that correct, Susan?
That's correct.
All right, so we'll zip past that over to the consent agenda. Council, you have some items on your consent agenda for your approval. If nothing is to be added to the main, over to the main agenda, then we can approve the consent agenda as presented. And I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. That takes us to item H, other action items, ordinances, resolutions, and public hearings. And item number 1 is discussion, consideration, and act upon an update to the personnel policy. Mrs. Black.
Mayor and council, in your packet was included the red line version of our current personnel policy and the recommended changes that staff is bringing before you tonight. A significant note, there are several changes that we wanted to specifically point out. One is creating a mental health leave policy. The state legislature requires this for law enforcement employees, but in discussing it with our leadership team, we felt it was important to apply that to all employees. Any scene that police is on that would be traumatic to our staff, fire is likely responding to as well. And we understand that traumatic events aren't limited to just those departments, so we felt it was important to include all of our staff in that. It does create a policy that would allow for vacation buyback. As you all know, we have some staffing shortages, particularly in our police department, that can make it difficult for employees to take off, and we feel like this is a way to help our employees in a time of high inflation as well, so they can sell back up to 1 week of vacation the first week of November every year, kind of tying that to Christmas, as a way to just give back to our employees a little bit if they either don't want to or aren't able to take the full amount of their vacation leave that they're allotted every year. We did add 1 additional hour to weekend on-call for Public Works, and that is due to an increase of duties that they're responsible for in checking some of our lift stations and wastewater treatment facilities. In the afternoons, it's taking longer than what was allowed under the previous personnel policy. We are codifying our part-time firefighter callback policy and how we pay them if we have to call them in for extra hours or calling them back in emergency situations. It matches the practice that we've been doing, but we're adding it to the personnel policy. We are allowing for all federal holidays plus those extras that are listed, which include the day after Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. We are changing, right now, our employees, if they want to take vacation or sick leave, they have to do it in 1 hour increments. We're changing that to 30 minutes. There's not a lot of change for our payroll personnel in entering that. It's just easier for our employees to take the time that they actually need. And then removing some dated sections related to iPods, telephone usage. I mean, as you all know, personnel policies used to be pretty strict about these portable electronic devices, and it's just dated, and so we're removing those sections. And any other outdated language that we felt was no longer necessary. But other than that, staff has presented that personnel policy to you and recommends approval.
All right, thank you for that. Any discussion from council?
I read through it today, and Leslie was kind enough to address the only questions that I really had from my perspective, so I'm happy with the way it's presented.
I think it updates it quite a bit. It modernizes everything, and it needed to be done, so again, good job.
And it looks like it was taken, at least at some point, with a lens of what keeps us competitive as an employer, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
All right, anything else? I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve the updates to the personnel policy as presented in report number 22-048.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, with that, the motion carries. Thank you. That takes us to item H2, discussion, consideration, and action on resolution R22-0913-01, supporting a grant application, the police department to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division, for Level III Ballistic Shields. Mrs. Black?
Mayor and council, each year our police department puts forward a grant through this program. I believe it's this program every year for some sort of equipment that they may need. As you'll recall, last year we did it to update our security cameras. This year they were requesting Level III Ballistic Shields. This application includes 10 ballistic shields that would be fully funded by this grant. And this would allow us to have one ballistic shield in every patrol vehicle. So the chief is recommending approval of this application.
Where do they fit in the patrol vehicles? Are they in the trunk?
You can put them in a trunk, but it just depends on what size that you decide to carry. We have two different sizes, so you can put one
Oh, okay.
in the front passenger seat as well.
I didn't realize that every patrol vehicle is gonna have one. That's great. So this is 100%? Is there a match? There's not a match on this. It's 100% funded?
That's my understanding.
All right.
Makes it a no-brainer.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, heck of a deal. I mean,
So I will say these grants get more and more competitive every year. The funding kind of shrinks a little bit. So we put one forward and we'll see what happens.
I love grants. Grants are good.
on that note, are we ready to entertain a motion?
I am ready to entertain a motion.
All right, then I'll make the motion to approve the grant resolution for purchase of 10 Level III Ballistic Shields.
And I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion carries. All right, that brings us on to item H3, discuss, consider, and act on approval of funding for radios from Smith County's 911 district.
Mayor and council, a few years ago, Chief Robeson and I entered, I would call it an understanding with Smith County 911 Services District. They accept requests for funding of certain projects that are in direct relation with interoperability and communications. And we have this understanding, instead of asking for large communications items and projects, we have a 50-50 sharing understanding that every year we'll buy a couple of radios and they'll match that. And what's before you tonight is exactly that. We did it last year. I believe the radios for the police are a little less expensive than the fire radios, and that's just because the difference is they're intrinsically safe, meaning when we're in an ignitable environment, our radios wouldn't cause that. There's I think a $500 difference. Regardless, it's right under $8,000 for each department, and they will match that equally. So basically, we're budgeted already. The funds were put in this year's budget. So we'll purchase two radios. Each department will purchase two radios, and Smith County 911 will match that with two radios. So we're getting buy one, get one free in short.
Okay, thank you, Chief Johnson. Any further discussion from council?
No. I will make a motion to approve the funding for the radios for the Smith County 911 district.
I'll
Second.
second.
I heard Michael Lowe first.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. With that, the motion carries. That takes us down to item H4, discussion, consideration, and action on Ordinance 22-0913-01, setting speed limits on certain portions of streets and highway in the city. Mrs. Black.
Mayor and council, several months ago, Chief Robeson reached out to TxDOT about lowering the speed limit. The easiest way to explain it is pretty much in front of Brookshire's. That is where the highest number of crashes in the city occur. And so after TxDOT has completed their traffic study, they have agreed with lowering the speed limit, I believe, to 45 right there, or 40.
45.
45, and so they need this ordinance updated in order to support that change. Staff recommends approval.
Have we also thought about the, and I know people hate this, but I feel like it saves lives, extending the, where the middle barrier thing down so that people can't turn left out of the Berkshire's parking lot onto 110 but have to go to the light. Which we'd have to retime the light and all that. I get that. I just been thinking out loud.
I've talked to TxDOT about that. They said it's extended as far as it can be, based
Okay.
on their own code.
I mean, because this is fine, but that's still an issue and it's going to keep happening. But yeah, that was my only question.
Okay, if you're going south on 110 in front of Brookshire's, what is it now currently? I should know, but I don't know, I'm not
I
positive.
think it's
50.
50.
It's 50.
50, so 5 miles lower.
Yes, sir.
That's in a good direction. I wish it was 35, but, and it will be one day.
So they base it off
I
of
know.
the percentage of cars that are traveling a certain speed. And so that was their recommendation back to us. And we just appreciate that they were willing to
Yeah.
hear our
That's
concerns
very
and
much
take
so,
action.
very much so. It's in the
progress.
right
Yeah,
direction.
it's in the right direction.
It is,
It's
it is.
Small.
Yeah, I don't think I ever drive 50 through there. There's so much to look for.
I was fixing to say, like, how can you? There's cars everywhere.
Hell, but they
Turning in
do.
and turning off and all the driveways.
Yes.
Yeah, as we grow, some of those areas are going to become more popular, more congested, and the speed limits will go down.
Yeah.
The brochures parking.
Yeah.
Lot one
Yeah.
that people have to
Grade.
just.
I have no problem turning into that parking lot and not having to hit my brakes and slow roll through. I don't know what y'all are doing, but I have never had a problem just whipping it.
Well, if
Just
you
put it
drive
up there.
Bigfoot, you wouldn't. You have enough ground clearance. It's not a big deal.
Just saying. I'm just
I
saying.
think the ambient light at Starbucks has helped a lot in that intersection. As you know, I still wish we had more street lights. And again, I know it's probably a little off subject, but anyway.
Well, I'm
Well, there we
good
go.
with this,
We're
yeah.
going down from 50 to 45.
All right.
That's right.
So, no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the speed limit change on Highway 110 North.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, that brings us down to item 5. I'm not sure how much of this I'm supposed to read, so I'll read it all. November the 8th, 2022 city election. A, presentation and acceptance of certification of unopposed candidates for the November 8th, 2022 election. B, acceptance of the order of cancellation, canceling the November 8th, 2022 city election. And C, approval of ordinance 22-0913-02, canceling the November 18, 22 city election. So all of that. Just imagine how much there would be if we actually had an election. Ms. Hargis, you want to take this?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I know that is a lot to take in, but these are all items that are required by the Texas Election Code, except the ordinance. That's only because we call the election by ordinance. So if we call something by ordinance, we need to cancel by ordinance as well. As you know, we had the mayor, place 2 and place 4 up for election this year. We've only had one candidate per race apply for that, and so therefore we are eligible to cancel as all of those races are unopposed. These are all items
All right.
to do that.
Well, good stuff. And that is not an auto-renewed subscription,
Did you
so I
realize
appreciate both of you stepping up into the role. And I look forward to serving you and the city and with the city staff in the upcoming 2 years that we've now committed to. I hope you realize that it was 2 years on the council.
What?
Anything else to add?
I'm gonna say that it's gonna be, I think, an exciting 2 years. I know it will be personally for me, and I'm excited to serve the citizens. And it's gonna be an exciting time for the city, I guarantee you. 2 more years.
All right. Councilman Lowe's campaign pledge to keep it exciting.
It's in writing.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add on this subject? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the certification of unopposed candidates, the order of cancellation, and the approval of ordinance 22-0913-02, canceling the November 8th, 2022 city election.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, with that, the motion carries. Thanks for having us. That takes us down to item H6, discussion, consideration, and act upon funding an ice skating rink. You got chills. And a snow globe. Photo op for Christmas in the park. All right.
All right.
So we have some information on this. We are not.
All right, Mayor and Council, so as you know, Christmas is coming up, and we're talking about doing a little bit bigger.
And
as
you
we-
are,
I'm Stephanie Nichols.
thank you.
Sorry. And so I think the vision is to draw more families into White House and to make the Christmas in the Park kind of a destination for East Texas rather than just a small celebration in the town. I've sourced a 40 by 40 synthetic ice skating rink. It includes staffing, skates for the day of the event, and then an inflatable photo prop snow globe.
Yes.
You can get into.
You can get inside
Yeah.
and take pictures of your family. So tonight we're asking that you consider funding a portion of the total reservation costs of $21,038.93. We have been able to source a portion of the funding for the final reservation through donations, through the White House Chamber of Commerce, and then we're gonna be requesting additional funding from the Economic Development Corporation later this week.
Okay. So, that's the highest it will be, is 21,000.
Yeah.
I guess with those donations and other things coming in. What's our estimated cost to the city?
So if the EDC agrees to fund 5,000 and we're asking kind of the city to fund 5,000 and then source the rest through donations again from the Chamber of Commerce and some other donors. So we're hoping to keep it at 5,000 for each entity, being the city and the Economic Development Corporation.
So there seems to be a good bit of interest in the community for funding this?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And we've had some individual businesses come forward with wanting to donate towards this, so.
All right. Well, thanks for continuing to beat the drum on this. We appreciate it.
Questions?
Yes?
This will be, and I don't laugh, but this will be real ice.
It will not be real ice.
Ah, okay.
Getting real ice is almost impossible.
All right. It's not cheap. What if, and I'm not putting, I'm not trying to be negative, but I have to do this, my job. What if it rains?
They do have a cancellation
Okay.
policy for weather. I don't have, well, I might.
And I pray it doesn't,
Yeah,
because
I
I
mean,
plan to be out there.
most of these places have, they don't want their stuff out in the rain, so,
Yeah.
I mean, if they know that the weather's gonna be bad, most of these places have a cancellation policy for that, so.
Okay.
And that's the same day we're having the parade, which would also have problems in the rain. And
True.
Several things that would fall apart
True.
if it rained. Councilman Lowe.
Right. No. Karaoke?
I think the city has a karaoke machine.
Oh, good.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you,
Absolutely.
Stephanie.
A big thank you to the Chamber of
Absolutely.
Commerce Board of Directors for their commitment to partner with us on this as well.
I believe, yeah, Ms. Fulmer, you've been gathering some numbers on that. Is that something you'd like to share, if you don't mind coming up to the podium? The star students get called to the front every once in a while, Ms. Fulmer.
So yes, we're excited with the opportunity to partner with y'all. We have been soliciting donations from other businesses and private donors. We have about 5 other people who have committed to donate. I don't have the exact numbers today. Mike Adams is working with me on that. But an estimate right now with the city and the EDC's donations, we have about 18,000.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what our deadline is. We need a final number, but we are still reaching out to other businesses who have committed to donate. I just don't have that exact amount.
Okay.
But I feel pretty confident that we're gonna get it all into you. We're still looking for those numbers and final checks in hand, so to
Okay.
speak.
That's good.
Thank you so much.
Everyone's
Thank you.
excited.
So Mayor and Council, our plan is with your approval tonight, we need to put a 50% deposit down to hold our reservation for that. So our plan would be to do that as early as tomorrow to get it reserved, as you can imagine. Ice skating rinks are few and far between in Texas, and so we're just grateful that there's still an
Yeah.
opportunity for us to even get that here. Synthetic ice skating rinks are few and far between. Just as a side note on real ice, Susan and I did speak with Encore
Oh, yeah.
today because of the amount of power that's required for real ice. And there are some significant limitations,
Where you could place it, yeah.
where you can place it, or if Encore could even provide the power and the cost that would be for them to install the infrastructure that is needed for the amount of power that is required for real ice. So
Unless it's a polar
just as an aside,
vortex.
I learned something today.
Yes.
Yeah, unless it's Winter Storm Uri. Then I'm just gonna go in the crowd.
Y'all should have just done it then.
We were a little busy with other
You didn't have
things.
that idea?
We-
I second that.
Sorry.
We did anyway, trust me.
Yeah.
What is the name of this apparatus? What is it called?
A synthetic
Synthetic
ice
ice
rink.
Synthetic ice rink, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, the
It
skating
actually
that was.
feels a lot like ice too.
Yeah, and really, I mean, when you're skating on ice, you're not actually digging a blade into the ice. You're traveling around a thin bead of water that's between you and the skates. So, yeah, slippery plastic. The kids won't know the difference. They'll think it's awesome. They'll love it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And the ice skating that happened during Winter Storm Uri was not voluntary.
No.
All right. So it sounds like, based on the work that the chamber's doing, and Stephanie, that it looks like we'll be maybe on the hook for, if everything pans out, like maybe $5,000, $5,500.
Has the EDC, okayed their portion?
That'll be Thursday.
Okay.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, it's something different, we can offer and have fun, for the citizens, so.
I'm excited for the vendors too. There's gonna be some
Yeah.
vendors that are brought by the chamber and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
think
traffic.
that you
brought to-
could get more like, things like that from this. But I think that you gotta be ready to do this every year or build upon it. I think it'd be real,
Ready.
let down to snatch it away.
That's right.
I'm making sure you're okay with that, cause you're the one that's happy. Look at you.
Yeah.
James is gonna be the first one skating.
I probably won't even get to skate, but it'll be fun
We're
to
gonna
watch
make-
others.
Are you gonna have the costume, or are you just gonna,
You'll have to see.
Okay.
We're gonna make sure you're the first to skate.
All right.
Leslie, do we just need to make an approval to cover the balance, or does it need to be a set number that we approve here tonight?
I think if the motion is to approve funding an ice skating rink in snow globe photo op, that's enough for me, with the understanding and direction that we will continue to solicit donations, because I just don't know what the amount is gonna be. I would prefer you not to specify an amount right now.
That's what I was getting
Yes.
at. Okay, cool.
And to answer Kara's question, I don't think there is a deadline on donations. I mean,
No.
if it's February the 2nd and they still want to reimburse us for what we put towards it, there is no deadline. If they loved it so much, then
Good point.
I think that we would take that too.
There will not be an admission fee.
No, that is not
Wow,
No.
this is great. In one day? 2 days?
one day.
1 day?
One solid day.
Boy, it's gonna be big.
Mm-hmm.
Something unique.
Operational time, I think we're estimating about 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I can imagine, this is gonna be neat.
Saturday, December 3rd.
I just can't say enough about how much I appreciate the donations and all the teamwork. Boy, that makes it nice.
Yeah, it does.
Really appreciate it.
Do you
And
want a motion?
40 by 40 is big. So a
True.
2-car garage is 20 by 20, and you got 4 of those.
True.
That's a big rink. Is my math right on that? Yeah, that's right.
I've skated on one of these. When you got kids out there with you, it's not as big as you think.
It's gonna be fun. All right, yes. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve funding an ice skating rink and snow globe for Christmas in the park.
I'll second.
I heard Councilman Chambers first that time.
That's right.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. And the motion carries. All right, that takes us to item number 7, discussion, consideration, and award of a bank depository contract. Oh, Jennifer. All right, it's your time to shine. Lower that mic and get after it.
This is a 10-minute speech.
Mayor and Council, Chapter 105 of the Texas Local Government Code requires every municipality to receive applications for the performance of depository services. To adhere to this requirement, the city issued requests for a proposal for banking depository services. Staff reviewed all submitted proposals using set criteria identified in the RFP, which stated it was on the basis of the following objectives: customer service, cost of service, time deposit interest rates, service availability, and safety and creditworthiness of the bank. Councilman Rosenstein inquired about Attachment 7 and Attachment A in the RFP, listing different fee schedule information. After clarification, the Treasury Management document shown in Attachment 7 is Austin Bank's standard Treasury Management fee schedule. Councilman Rosenstein asked about Attachment 2, listing fees charged to the city. This attachment is for informational purposes only. Austin Bank does not charge fees to the city, but does keep an analysis for their records of fees waived. Both Austin Bank and Southside Bank would equally provide the services needed by the city, but Southside Bank does have a few additional charges on the rate sheet, and with the amount of city staff time required to make a depository transition, staff recommends Austin Bank to remain the city's depository bank.
Any questions for Mrs. Lusk? Thank you, ma'am.
I'll make a motion to approve awarding the bank depository contract to Austin Bank.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item?
Not at all.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, with that, the motion carries. That takes us down to item 8. Consider future agenda items. Any items we would like to add to a future agenda, meeting agenda?
Whatever happened to the ordinance that I guess you were gonna work with the contractors?
This Thursday at 5 PM, we have a roundtable discussion here.
Okay, will that come,
Depending on the outcome, it'll come back to the council.
Anything else?
Oh, budget amendments will be on the next meeting to close out the current fiscal year. To get everything kind of lined out, heading into the audit.
Excellent.
is there any update for Cop Finley that would be required?
Maybe. I've got a conversation with them later this week, so.
I did.
Frontiers pull permits?
Frontier has sent in approximately 20 or so permits. We are still working with Cobb Finley. We should have revised plans back, revised permits back from them hopefully this week.
We're not there as far as first shovel in the ground to do this project, not yet.
We're waiting on permit approvals.
We're getting there, yeah.
Yes.
I did receive the mailer that they described when they came in and spoke to us, saying fiber's coming. And it kind of outlined like
Deal.
the things they need to do before they can make it happen, and permitting was one of them, so I'd imagine as soon as we get them back. But they seem to be following the same process that they lined out for us.
Yeah, that's good that they're advertising.
Is that them with some of that underground stuff coming in on Bascom, north of the city limits?
No, that, to my knowledge, is,
Was it Vexus?
or
I'm
not sure if
Cherokee.
it's north of the city limits. I don't know.
I just saw some underground construction stuff going in, so thought it might be.
Yeah, they did. They ran some power. I think Encore ran some power down
that's
through
what that
there.
was.
That way we have redundancy. We actually have power coming in from 2 major legs into the city now. Good stuff. All right. Anything else to add to the future agenda? All right. That takes us down to item I, executive session, of which we have none, so we're not going to reconvene. That takes us down to item K, adjourn. If there is no new business or old business to discuss in this meeting, I say this meeting is adjourned. The time is now 6:30. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.